Welcome back to another episode of the Vision Pod, where guests are handpicked to bring value to your everyday life. Enjoy. Okay, thank you, George Sarkodie. This is George Sarkodie, everyone. First episode. I invited him on. Thank you for being my first guest.
You're welcome, Judah. Happy to be here.
It's good to have you here. So George is my associate pastor. He is also an author. He writes books and mentor and just man of God.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So you wrote a book on Eagle's Wings.
Yeah.
You published that.
Yeah.
And when did that release?
That was December last year.
Okay, yeah. And then you're also an associate pastor. When did you become the associate pastor of Victory?
Yeah, thank you. So I came on as a staff on April 1st, 2021.
Okay.
The date is really interesting because April Fool's Day.
Oh, yeah.
Who becomes a pastor on April Fool's Day?
They were just pranking you.
Exactly, but it happened to be true. So
cool.
Since April 1st, 2021,
I
have been executive pastor at Victory Church in Grand Prairie.
Awesome. Yeah. You run a company called Meet Mentors.
Yeah.
And can you explain a little bit about that?
Sure. So Meet Mentors is an educational organization that focuses on providing support for youth across Africa.
Right.
And the four areas we focus on are academic, career, leadership, and talents development. So since 2018, we've been serving a lot of young people across all of Africa in these areas. Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, there's really a need for mentorship in young people's lives, especially with maybe a fatherless upbringing or something like that. They just need that encouragement and development.
Yeah.
So how do you choose your mentors? What qualities would you pick?
Yeah. So like I said, we have the four key areas of our mentorship is academic, career,
right,
talent, and leadership.
Right.
So whoever comes on as a mentor should have a level of expertise in these areas.
Right.
So we look out for that. So how we choose them? First, when I began by inviting friends that I knew would be good in doing that.
Right. Yeah.
And so when they came on board, they also invited their friends to come on board. But
Yeah.
over the years, because we are very active online, we've had people contacting us because they saw our programs and they felt it would be a place for them to also come and join. So
cool.
For now, I would say it is all of this together.
Yeah.
Yes. For instance, we had one lady who she was in Canada at the time. She's still in Canada actually, but she was referred to us by her professor at the University of Waterloo.
Okay.
She was then doing a PhD in physics and mathematics.
Okay.
And so one of her professors saw Meet Mentors online.
Yeah.
And the professor told her to connect with us and join us. So now she's one of our mentors.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah. So it's really cool how we get people. We get people from all over the place.
How many mentors do you have now?
So that's a tricky question to have because we have mentors who serve maybe for a year and then they go depending on their time. So we are very flexible on that.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be able to put a number on that. We have a lot of them.
Right.
The good thing about Meet Mentors is that because most of our programs are virtual, we've got mentors from all over the place.
Okay.
North America, Canada, US, across Europe, across Africa, Australia, New Zealand. We've got mentors all over the place. Saudi Arabia. So distance is not a problem in joining us as a mentor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So we day by day we keep getting mentors coming in.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
You were telling me just before this. You said you could go on stage in front of anybody. Yeah. How do you deal with your nerves before you're going up on stage? What do you say?
I think it depends on what I'm going to talk about.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. If it is about something I am passionate about, I have prepared. I know what I'm going to say, and of course, as a pastor, I pray and prepare myself. Yeah. I can say I've got no nerves.
Okay.
To be honest,
wow.
I'm excited. I just want to be there.
That's awesome.
To share what is in my heart. So. But if it's something that I'm not really good at, okay, have I prepared enough? Am I going to say it well? So it depends on what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah. No problem.
But I would say over the years, you kind of learn to know that you are not looking for perfection.
Right.
Just produce excellence,
Right.
which means use what you have to give the best you can give.
Mm-hmm.
And so that becomes the underlying, motivation.
Right. Yeah.
Give what you can give to the best of your ability,
Cool.
and the rest, you can figure out later.
For sure. Yeah. So yeah, talking about prayer, can you explain to me like the importance of prayer in your life or in anyone's life?
Yeah, I think prayer. So importance of prayer. That's a big question.
Yeah. Yeah. It is.
Because prayer serves so many different purposes in the life of a child of God,
Mm-hmm.
right? For instance, prayer, of course, is the way we communicate with God.
Right.
And I heard several years ago that the soul of every relationship is communication.
Right.
So if we cease to communicate with our Father in heaven, it's like we are killing the soul of that relationship.
Right.
So it is the connection point between us and God.
Right. Yes.
That is the main thing. But even apart from that, or in addition to that, prayer serves so many purposes in our own life. For instance, prayer helps us to partner with God for his
Right.
purposes in heaven for this earth to come down.
Right.
Jesus said in the Lord's Prayer, in the prayer he said, as it is in heaven,
Yeah.
let it be done here on earth.
That's
and
right,
that comes
yeah.
through prayer.
Yeah.
So that is one of the purposes. If we don't pray, God can do all things, but it is a pleasure of God that he partners with us to do
Right.
it. And so by prayer, we work with God to bring his purposes in
Yeah.
heaven down here on earth.
Yeah.
That is one. Two, prayer is therapeutic. I always say that.
Okay. Yeah.
Prayer has a therapy that it brings
True.
to people, because when we pray, the Bible says, do not be anxious for anything.
Right.
Anxiety is a big thing in our society now.
For sure. Yeah.
But there's a solution there. The solution is that by prayer and supplication,
Yeah.
let your request be made known to God.
Yeah.
And the peace of God that transcends all understanding shall guard your heart and mind in Christ
That's right.
Jesus.
That's
So
right.
by
Yeah.
prayer, we are able to overcome anxiety.
That's right. Yeah.
It is that prayer produces results. We
Right.
ask and receive. Prayer produces strength. Jesus before the cross goes to the garden. He prays. Yeah. He was weak, but Bible says he was strengthened.
That's right.
So
yeah.
when we see the importance of prayer, it doesn't become a hard thing for us. We know what prayer produces in our lives, and therefore we would be happy to pray. We'll be willing to pray. And I'm not saying it is easy, because life can be busy, right? But we also have to understand that you can pray to God anywhere.
That's right. Yeah.
And if we get to know that, then we know we can communicate with our Father in any place. And I would add that prayer also comes in different forms, right? One of my spiritual fathers said, praying the same prayer all the time is not an effective way to pray.
Right.
So we must also know the different forms of prayer and when to pray which type of prayer. So prayer is a big topic, but I think altogether, I see prayer as a gift from God for us as Christians. Yeah. And we have to understand it and use it well.
Yeah. And Paul says, like, pray without ceasing. Pray
exactly.
So in everything you're doing, you're kind of talking to God.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. How did you get into preaching or teaching?
Well, so now maybe let me separate teaching from preaching.
Right. Yeah.
Because so teaching is sharing knowledge, sharing information that you have, right? And from a very young age, I realized that preaching was one of the areas I had fulfillment in. Even as a young boy, I loved to share what I knew with people.
Okay.
So I'll mobilize few friends and share with them what I knew from school. Yeah. It was something that I really felt was a gift when I was even young. But I would say after high school, I taught in grade 6 for a year or two. Okay. So that gave me a more experiential, form of prayer. Yeah. And in addition to that, in church circles, when I began to learn the word of God and I began to know, I also had the desire to share with people. So I would say teaching and preaching didn't come from a very structured way for me. Right. It was something I did out of my joy in sharing what I had. Cool. And over the years, I was able to, by God's grace, develop my gifts in that place. Yeah. And as I said, I found a joy and a fulfillment in teaching. And so
that's awesome.
That's how it came about. Yeah. And the good thing is when you share what you have with people, it helps you also to learn more. And so as a student of the word, I like to teach because in teaching, you also learn more. You
For
can make
sure.
mistakes, but then you can go back and correct them. So there is that growth
Yeah, I always
that
find
comes.
when I have to teach something, you have to know it so much better than when you're just reading something.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So teaching helps you to also become a good student at whatever you
for
are
sure.
talking about, and
Yeah.
that is yeah.
Yeah, you have a good understanding, like seeking to understand instead of just memorize something is a big
Exactly.
thing.
Exactly. And yeah, I like I said, for me the bottom line is teaching brings me so much fulfillment. One of my
Right.
greatest moments in life is to be able to share knowledge with people and to see them use that knowledge to grow in their life.
Yeah.
It's priceless.
Yeah, for sure.
So that
That's
is my
awesome.
my source of motivation to
Yeah.
teaching. Yeah.
What's your favorite verse to preach on if you
Oh, that is a tricky question because I I go to the Bible quite often, and so I pick verses depending on my life situation.
right?
But I think to answer the question, maybe I would say Philippians 1:6 has been a verse that I have loved for many years.
Okay.
You know, when Paul said, I am confident of this, that the Lord who has begun a good work will finish it.
Okay.
I like it
That's
because
awesome.
there is a sense of assurance
Yeah.
in that verse. You know,
Yeah.
I can be confident that whatever good work that God has begun in me, He will finish it.
Yeah.
There might be challenges, there might be troubles, there might be, you know, struggles in the way, but that confidence in God keeps me going.
Cool.
And so that has become a very strong part of my life, especially when I'm going through some tough times.
Yeah.
I'll go to Philippians 1:6
That's
and
awesome.
go draw some strength from
Yeah.
that place. And
For sure.
that keeps me going. Yeah.
Yeah, it's something definitely to put on your wall or something like
I think I
that.
have to. I haven't done it yet, so I think I
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah. That's awesome. So you were born in Ghana.
Yes.
That's right. And then you moved to Denmark.
Yes.
So how has being an immigrant impacted your success?
Oh, in so many ways. You know, I always tell people that if you have the chance to travel,
Mm-hmm.
do travel
Yeah.
because God made the whole world and the whole world is so big.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
traveling exposes you to so many things that you can never find when you are located just in one place.
That's right. Yeah.
And so being born in Ghana, of course, I learned so many values, you know, hard work and
Mm-hmm.
persistence. And even my Christian growth, I had my foundation in Ghana. And I like the Christian, you know, atmosphere that by God's grace, I had a privilege to
Right.
go through. In high school, I became very strong in my faith in high school.
Okay.
And then when I went on to, you know, university at the time, University of Ghana, I grew there strongly. I had so many leadership experience from there. So Ghana shaped my faith as a young man
Okay.
over the years. So by the time moved to Denmark, I was strong in my faith.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes moving out, you know, from home can be good or can be bad, depending on how strong you are in the Lord.
That's right.
But I thank God that for me at that time, my faith had been strengthening. So being away from home wasn't going to be a problem to affect my faith. So my foundations were built there. My value systems were built there. I developed prayer from my time in Ghana, you know, with friends that I grew up with ministry that I served in.
Yeah.
And so that has really shaped my life. And moving to Denmark was my first time living out of home.
Right.
And so the culture was different.
Yeah.
Everything was different. I learned to embrace things that I wasn't used to.
Yeah.
It helped me to grow. It helped me to value and respect other cultures.
Yeah.
It helped me to change my own views about certain things, perspectives about certain things, right? And so that was really great. And my time in Denmark, moving here to Canada, of course, was also a different culture. You know, European culture, North American culture are different. And so I would say that my process of moving, you know, from place to place have shaped my understanding, my view, even my faith as a Christian. How Christianity is practiced in all these cultures are different.
Mm-hmm.
And so it has helped me in what I'm doing right now. Of course, our church has got people from different backgrounds, different nationalities. It's a multicultural church.
For sure.
And so with all these experiences, it helps me to know how to meet people from where they are.
Right, yeah.
I might not agree with them, but I understand them.
Yeah.
And so that helps me, even as a leader.
Yeah.
It helps me to be able to relate well with people and to see things from the people's perspective instead of just how I see it being the way that it's supposed to go. So I would say it has developed that Christ-centered multicultural position in my life,
Right.
and I think that really has been um, a good way for me to be a leader
Yeah.
in what I'm doing right now.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
Being able to see kind of what people are going through based on your own
exactly,
experiences.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah. So what do you think people can learn from your story of coming from Ghana?
I would say embrace your identity
Right.
as a
Yeah.
person. You can be in different places at different times, learn different things. As long as it is good, learn it, but don't lose the sense of your identity.
That's right.
That
Yeah.
is who you are. That shapes you. That the values you've had, which are good. Don't don't lose it. But then be willing to also learn new things. Be flexible.
Yeah.
Have an open mindset, not a closed mindset, because every culture has got its strengths and weaknesses. So
Yeah.
know the weaknesses of your own culture and be willing to let them go and embrace new things that are good from other cultures,
Yeah.
and also vice versa. And so I think what I would encourage people to do is, like I said before, if you get a chance to travel, please do,
Mm-hmm.
because it is going to transform you.
Yeah. For sure.
It's going to shape your life. And as you travel to these other places, be open, have an open mind. As long as these things that you come into contact with are not contradictory to the Bible, be willing to learn, because there is something good about every culture. And as you travel, you can learn those things. So that's what I will encourage people to go. I believe, as I mentioned before, we came here. I believe the end time church is a global church.
Right.
And what I mean by that is God is sending people from all over the world to all over the world.
Yeah.
And so everyone that goes to a place has got something to offer.
Mm-hmm.
And we must be, until we see those strengths, we will not be able to embrace those strengths.
Yeah.
And so churches should be open to that. Businesses are very much open to that.
Yeah.
But I think the church has got some work to do in that
Okay.
direction. So
Yeah.
I think not just for the church I serve in, but the global church, because I'm thinking like globally.
Yeah.
Right. I think that it is. Secondly, I think people should have a lifelong learning perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Things change in life. Learning is what helps us to keep in touch
Yeah.
with the changes that are coming. And every generation has something to offer, right?
Yeah.
And so I think we should be open to learning from each other, whether from different cultures or different generations, and be willing to grow. I've learned a lot from you. As a young man studying this, there's
Yeah.
a lot I've learned from you, and so I think we should have an open mind to
Yeah.
learn and
That's right.
embrace growth. And maybe the last thing I would say is, I'm learning to know that life is not very long.
Yeah.
Life is short.
Okay.
So whatever God has put on your heart to do, do it. Don't be
Mhm.
afraid of failure.
Yeah.
It's an experience to learn.
For sure.
So embrace it and make a move and do it. Whatever you can do to support someone's growth, do it, because whatever God has given to you, one day we're going to give accounts to God.
That's
The
right.
giftings and the talents and all the privileges that we have, how are we using that to serve people? Of course, in a Christ-centered way. And so that is what has been a very strong motivation for me,
For
even
sure.
with Meet Mentors.
Yeah.
I live in Canada, but we're able to serve people with my team from all over the continent of Africa.
Yeah.
Our last program had 40 people from 13 different countries. I didn't travel to this country, but
Yeah.
by God's grace, we can reach these people and serve them.
That's
So
right. Yeah.
just be willing to step out and not be afraid to fail.
Yeah. So this podcast is called the Vision Pod. Do you have like some strong visions for your Meet Mentors that you're willing to share?
For sure.
Okay.
I believe I heard a quote just this past few days. I'm trying to recollect it, but I think it says something like, as long as you remain green, you are growing. As
Okay.
long as you remain green, you are growing. As long as you are ripe, you begin to rot. And so,
okay.
we want to remain green as
That's
Meet
right.
Mentors, so
Yeah.
that we can keep growing. And so at this point, we have been serving a lot of people. We've been reaching a lot of young people. We've got a lot of testimonials. We're looking at growth. We're looking at sustainability, building structures and systems
Yeah.
that can keep the organization going, so that we can get more mentors and get more mentees into our program as well. There is growth, there is potential, there is the need to serve a lot of young people
Yeah.
across Africa. And who knows, maybe we might begin one in Canada
Cool.
at
Yeah.
some point. And
Yeah.
so we are willing to embrace growth and to see where God is going to take us to. But yes, I think at this point we're looking at building strong structures and systems to keep the organization going.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Building systems so you can replicate it.
Exactly.
Yeah, not relying so heavily on what you have in the first one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that. So yeah, vision really does it is a thing that wakes you up in the morning ready to go, and that's awesome thing for young men to have in the back of their mind. It's like their why they're doing what they're doing. Kind of thing.
Exactly. You see, the Bible says, lack of prophetic vision, the people perish.
Okay.
So where there is no vision, let me quote it well. Where there is no vision, the people perish. So it is for everyone, as a person, as a family,
Yeah.
as a society,
That's right. Yeah.
country, whatever. Vision is God given.
Yeah.
You know, recently I read a book, Vision Driven Leader.
Okay.
Very good book. Well, maybe I'm making promotion for the author now.
Who wrote it?
I've forgotten the name, but I can
Okay.
I can
Yeah.
share with you then. But it talks about the need for leaders to intentionally seek to find vision.
Yeah.
Vision doesn't just come by, you don't just chance on vision.
Mm-hmm.
You must be willing to partner with God.
Yeah.
For vision, because vision is from the heart of God.
Mm-hmm.
I believe God had a vision for the world. That's why He created the world. God didn't just show up and say, well, let me create a world and let me see what is going to happen.
Right.
He had a vision. He had a plan.
Mm-hmm.
He had a plan for the trees. He had a plan for whatever He created. And so for us as people in our own lives, and especially in organizations and whatever we do, I think vision is very, very important. And that's why when I you invited me, I was like, okay, Vision Pod, I like the name.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the name speaks to what you have, in your heart. And when
That's
you have
right.
a vision, it also helps you even to know or to see opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
I believe we walk by opportunities day in and out, but because there is no vision, we don't even see it.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
when you have a vision, anybody who has a vision knows what he needs to make the vision go.
That's right. Yeah.
So then when you see opportunities that align with your vision, you can see them. But
For
if there's
sure.
no vision, you just drive past them, you walk
That's
past them,
right.
you don't even see it.
Yeah. Yeah. Just if you know what you're looking for, it's way easier to find.
Exactly.
Way easier.
Exactly. So vision is very, very important, especially for young people. It doesn't mean it might not change, but at least go with something that God
That's
puts
right.
in your heart.
Yeah.
And as I said, remain green, be willing to grow. And so it might shift here and there. But if a person hasn't got vision, just like you just live and do things randomly,
Mm-hmm.
you waste your time, waste your strength, waste your
Yeah.
resources. And as I said, life isn't that long.
Yeah.
It isn't that long. So I would encourage every young person out there to really pray to God and seek God's face about what God has put in their heart. I believe God has put something in each person's heart.
That's right. Yeah.
And He wants us to live it out.
Yeah, and that's what I saw, especially being in Asia. It's just you develop a deep appreciation for people once you realize that everyone has something in them just like you.
That is the thing. As you travel around the world, you realize that people are people,
Mm-hmm.
all made in the image of God.
That's right.
Either
Yeah.
saved or unsaved, still made in the image of God.
That's right.
And we see that commonality of our humanness and the connection that you can build with people. And as you listen to people, you get to know who they are, get to know their heart,
Mm-hmm.
and see what they can offer. And so I like that you were open to,
Yeah.
to see that in people. And I think that is a big thing, especially for now, as the world becomes very global through technology. Strength can be tapped from different parts of the world for what God wants us to do.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily need to be very close to you to let it go. It can be tapped from anywhere. And as you
Yeah.
travel or as you meet people, you would see what they bring. And now for me, over the years, having been out of home, in quotes, I have built very, very strong relationships. I've met with people, and most of them have really challenged me in my life.
Yeah.
In areas that I probably did not even think about.
Yeah.
So I think we must have that open heart to to learn from people, and as we go with what God has put, in our hearts for our vision. And yeah, one of the other book that I'm working on kind of talks about some of these things. So I'm not going to go more into that now, but when it's out, I'm sure maybe we can have another session and talk about that.
That's
more.
right. Yeah.
But I believe for young people, let God put something in your heart.
Yeah.
Let God put something in your heart. Our life, we live our life to glorify God. That is the generic point of purpose.
Yeah.
But there is also a specific point of purpose. So the generic one is we live our lives to glorify God in everything we do. But because we've all been built differently, with different passions and different giftings, that brings us into the specific dimension of purpose.
Yeah.
So generic one, we all must live to glorify God, yes.
Yeah.
But what does that mean to you on a daily basis? That's where vision comes in.
Yeah.
Based on who God has made you, based on the passions in your heart, based on the things you're good at. And these things provide the specificity to a person's purpose as you walk in it.
For sure.
So a fish wouldn't want to go and live on a desert and try to fulfill its purpose. It's not possible. It's got to be in water, in the sea.
That's right. And and you're made specifically for your purpose. Like
exactly.
It wouldn't work if I was 4'1".
See, that is the thing. God made all of us for purpose. Now you might move me into purpose right now. However God has made you, big, small, color-wise, it is for your purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
If you are willing to embrace your identity, you can walk in purpose.
Yeah, that's right.
So, identity challenges, I see the big part of it is people don't have purpose. If you know your purpose and you accept that you have been built for your purpose, you embrace your identity and you just work in your purpose.
Yeah. Because
sometimes what you might even see as a difference you carry is what is going to open the doors for you because of your purpose.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be like the other person because you can't serve that person's purpose. You want to be like you because you can serve your purpose.
Right.
And so you don't have a problem with who you are, with your personality, with whatever, because that is who you are. A fish can dream to become, an elephant, but it can't fulfill the elephant's purpose, and vice versa.
That's right. Yeah.
Enjoy yourself as a fish and live in the sea.
That's right.
And leave the elephant to enjoy its elephantness in the forest.
Yeah.
They all have different purposes.
Yeah.
And animals even understand this. But sometimes it's a big problem for us as humans. So purpose is a big thing. I love to talk about purpose. It's a big thing. I thank God. It is a very central part of God's creation for our lives. Yeah.
He's a purposeful God.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you for coming on my show. That's going to be a good first episode.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for having me. And I wish you all the best on this.
Thanks.